living on $1,170 a month isn't a financial challenge. It is a test of endurance, resourcefulness, and self-respect. My name is Frank from the channel Senior Life Reset. This is where I share small but practical tips to help you declutter your living space and live more lightly after age 60. If you're interested in organizing your home, keeping only what's truly necessary and letting go of things that drain you, you can find many more videos on my channel. But today, I want to talk about what few dare to mention. Because I have lived it, I have had to choose between filling the gas tank and buying milk. Some months I skipped lunch just to pay the bills, and some nights I sat in the dark because the power had been cut off. Those things didn't make me weak. They made me more realistic. And then, little by little, I began to find habits that helped me survive without losing my dignity. In this video, I will share 6 frugal habits that work not glamorous, not televised, but they have helped me and many others live on less than $1,200 a month. We will talk about housing costs, nutritious meals without high expenses, giving up an old car to avoid debt, staying connected when internet and phone bills become a luxury, healthcare on a tight budget, and those unexpected expenses like a new coat or a small gift for a loved one. I won't just share, I'll also ask questions for you to consider, because maybe you don't need more money, you just need less pressure and a bit of wisdom. If you're feeling overwhelmed, stay with me until the end of this video. Perhaps you'll find something light enough to carry and strong enough to help you keep going. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you find this content helpful. Your support motivates me to continue sharing meaningful things. Thank you for being here. Let's talk about the first habit now. Habit 1: housing. When you live on $1,170 a month, renting is no longer a choice. It's a survival strategy. Back then, I sat down and did the math. I knew I shouldn't spend more than 40% of my income on housing. Ideally, it should be 25%. But you know what? At that rate, I could only spend about $470 a month on housing, yet the smallest apartment I could find costs over $800. So I had to do something I never thought I would. I left the house. The house my wife and I had lived in for 35 years, where we raised our children, had dinners together, and hung every memory photo on the walls. But after she passed away, that house became different too. Quiet, too big, too much for me to care for. The kids lived out of state. They cared, but couldn't help much. So I began to ask myself, why was I holding on to that house? Every month, I poured money into electricity, water, furnace repairs, lawn mowing, and fixing leaks. Then I looked closer and saw I was living in a house just to prove I was still okay. But I wasn't okay anymore. I needed a place just big enough for one person, a place I could sleep well and not fear bills spiking each winter. I moved into a small subsidized apartment for people over 60, old walls, a small kitchen, nothing to brag about. But for the first time in years, I slept without jarring awake at creaking roofs or dripping pipes. If you're holding on to a big house that makes you feel more tired every day, I hope you ask yourself, what are you keeping, freedom or a burden? Maybe you're not ready to leave, but know there are other options waiting. A home doesn't have to be big, just big enough for you to breathe and sleep peacefully every night. Habit 2. Food. Food isn't just for survival. It's what reminds us we are still living. Before, every meal at home was a time to connect. My wife was a great cook. She could turn a few dried beans and onion and broth into a fragrant pot of soup. We'd sit together each evening, talk about our day, and share warm pieces of bread. After she passed, I kept cooking. But it was different. I didn't cook to share anymore. I cooked to eat to survive and to save money. With a $1,170 monthly budget, I set my food spending at around $280 to $300. It seems like a lot, but it's not if you plan. I started by listing meals at the start of the month. Nothing fancy, just simple dishes you can cook once and eat many times: rice, porridge, soup noodles, boiled eggs, frozen veggies, oatmeal, canned beans, and peanut butter. I still buy meat, but only when it's on sale, and I portion and freeze it. Every Sunday, I cook a big pot, maybe chicken soup or pasta sauce, and divide it into portions for the week. I don't waste food, I use everything. And if I'm too tired, I boil eggs, cut vegetables, and make a simple sandwich. It's still self-care. If you feel your food bills are getting out of control, try seeing what you can change. Don't forget to check if you're eligible for SNAP. I once thought I shouldn't take it that I was taking from others, but it's your right as help for those who have given their whole lives, so you can use it when times are hard. There are also food pantries, shared markets, and even local libraries offering free produce in season. Meals don't need to be fancy, just nutritious, simple, and enough to remind you you deserve to be fed. Habit 3: transportation. I used to think that owning a car was a symbol of freedom. Having a car meant I could go anywhere I wanted anytime, without needing a ride or relying on anyone. But as I grew older and started living more slowly, I realized that sometimes the car itself was what kept me tied down. My old sedan still ran, but it was over 20 years old. The tires were worn, the AC was broken, the windows fogged up, and the engine would overheat unexpectedly. But the worst part wasn't the car, it was the cost that came with it. Insurance was over $100 a month. Gas cost me around $30 a week. And now and then I had to fix the brakes, replace spark plugs, and change the oil. Every time the garage called with a quote, I felt my chest tighten. Then I sat down and did the math. If I sold the car, I could save over $200 a month, and that money could go toward groceries, medication, or simply peace of mind each morning. So I sold it. When I handed over the keys, it hurt, but I also felt lighter. I started using the senior shuttle service in my area 2 rides a week to the grocery store, pharmacy, and doctor. If I needed anything extra, I asked a neighbor for help, and I'd return the favor with banana bread or by watching their dog when they were away. I didn't drive around aimlessly anymore. I planned. And strangely enough, life felt easier. If you're holding onto a car just to feel independent, I hope you reconsider. Independence isn't in the steering wheel. It's in knowing how to choose what truly works for you. If you still need a car, look for something used, reliable, and without debt. If you don't drive, often ask about mileage-based insurance. And don't be afraid to share rides or ask for one if someone's willing. Needing help doesn't make you weak. It means you're saving strength for things that truly matter. You don't need to go far, just far enough, and with peace in your heart. If you're unsure whether to keep or give up the car, ask yourself this: what's carrying you, the car or the pressure you no longer want to bear? Habit 4: utilities connection. Some days my house was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator hum, but that wasn't peace, it was cutbacks. Fewer lights, no AC, no internet. On $1,170 a month, utility bills became a constant worry. I only allowed myself about $60 a month for phone and connectivity. Anyone who's lived alone knows it's not just about comfort. It's a choice between calling your loved ones or having one more decent meal. I used to have a phone plan that cost over $40 now. I switched to a prepaid plan, just $10 to $15 a month. No unlimited data, no 5G, but enough to get messages from my doctor, call my daughter out of state, and hear my grandchild tell me about the school play. As for the internet, I no longer use home service. I went to the library when I needed to pay bills online, and they had free Wi-Fi, no one asked questions and no one judged. Sometimes I arrived early, just to sit there, open emails, and feel like I was still connected to the world. A friend of mine received a used tablet from a community program. If you didn't know, some places still offer devices to low-income individuals, libraries, senior centers, and even churches. If you're paying too much for your phone, ask about the Lifeline program. If you only need the basics, providers like Red Pocket or Mint Mobile can help. And if you've ever felt you don't deserve phone or internet service because your income is low, let me say this. You spent your life raising children, caring for loved ones, and working every day. Now you deserve to stay connected. You don't need a fancy phone. You don't need the fastest network. You just need a way to be heard, to call, and to remember that you're still here, worthy of being listened to, even if it's just a simple message in the late afternoon. Habit 5. Health hygiene. You don't truly understand poverty until you stand in a pharmacy holding 2 prescriptions and only have money for one. I've stood there. I remember having $20 in my wallet, 1 prescription for my heart, another for blood pressure, both necessary, but I could only choose one. I walked outside and sat on the bench, still holding the other script. And I thought, if I feel worse tomorrow, who would know? Who would care? When you live alone on a tight income, healthcare isn't a priority. It's a luxury. But without health, every other plan falls apart. I started doing my research. In my state, Medicaid has expanded for people over 65 with low income. I applied and I was approved. Because of that, I no longer skipped dental visits or blood tests or sat waiting for pain to pass. If you haven't checked, call your local health office. You might qualify too. For medications, I use GoodRx to compare prices. Some drugs are cheaper without insurance. Walmart and some local pharmacies have generic lists for just a few dollars. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to compare. For things like toothpaste, soap, and shampoo, I go to food pantries or community markets. Some places even give out hygiene kits for free. Once I got a new towel and a small jar of lotion, just enough. Winter. I start each morning with 10 minutes of gentle stretches. No cost, just a reminder to my body that I'm still here, still worth caring for. If you've ever skipped self-care because you think it's not the right time, I hope you remember this. This body has carried you through so many years. It held your kids, drove your car, went to work, and stayed up late. Now, it just wants to be treated like an old friend, not perfect, but worthy of kindness. Habit 6. Everything else. After paying for housing, food, transportation, and medicine, how much do you have left? Some months I had exactly $42. Some months just a few singles and a handful of coins. And from that amount, I had to stretch to cover everything else. a torn coat that needed replacing worn-out slippers, a grandchild's upcoming birthday, a flickering lamp, a bar of soap worn down to the core. These are the things no budget spreadsheet ever teaches you, the space where you start to feel like you're always saying no. No to yourself, no to little joys, no to what used to feel normal. I once felt sad because I couldn't buy a small bouquet for the kitchen table, simply because I felt I no longer deserved something beautiful. But then I changed how I thought. I stopped trying to buy everything new. I started buying used. A $3 sweater at a thrift shop, a wooden picture frame someone left behind, a free book gifted at the library. I also kept a small envelope in my kitchen drawer labeled Grace. Each month, no matter how little, I'd put a few dollars in it. Some months are just $2. But from that envelope, I was once able to buy a small gift bag for a neighbor who had lost her husband. I bought a box of crayons for my grandchild when they visited, and I bought a small candle to light on a day when I felt deeply tired. If you're surviving on every last penny, I hope you remember this: you can still give. A smile, a kind word, a slice of banana bread, and you can still receive a hug, gratitude, a reminder that you still matter. Living simply doesn't mean living without warmth. It means knowing what's worth keeping, what's real, and what makes your heart feel just a little lighter. Living on $1,170 a month has never been easy, but I've learned that whether it feels bearable or not depends on how I choose to live with that amount. Through this journey, I've shared with you 6 habits that helped me through the tightest of times. The first was changing how I view housing from permanent space to peaceful space. The second was nourishing my body with simple full meals. The third was letting go of my old car to ease the financial burden. The fourth was simplifying connections while staying in touch with the world. The fifth was caring for my health with intention and smarts. And the sixth was making room for small things that still matter, like a warm coat, a birthday wish, or an envelope named Grace. I'm not saying everything will get easier once you follow these habits, but I believe that if there's one thing you carry from this video, let it be agency. You don't need to be perfect to begin, that you are no less just because you have less, and that you can still live a meaningful life, even if it's quiet, even if no one sees it. I thank you for staying with me until the end. If this video helped you, please subscribe, and leave a comment so I know you're there. Your support is priceless. And if you want to continue this journey of living lighter, living more truthfully, you can find many more videos on the Senior Life Reset channel. We will meet again in quiet reflections in small things, but enough to keep your heart steady until you no longer feel like you're just surviving, but finally feel like you're living, fully and truly. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.